Welcome to the Secrets to Mindful Health, where we explore the hidden truths of wellness in all its forms. From physical and mental health to spirituality, join me, your host, Beth Warren, at Nourished by Beth on Instagram and TikTok, registered dietitian for over a decade, and single mom of 6, as I share my personal journey overcoming challenges towards self-love and wellness. Together with my guests, we will inspire and motivate you to prioritize your well-being and create a life of balance and fulfillment. Let's embark on a transformative journey towards a healthier, happier you. I'm glad you're here. In this insightful episode, we sit down with Dr. Bakker, a primary care physician in Brooklyn, New York, dedicated to helping patients prevent and manage chronic diseases related to lifestyle and aging. She discusses her holistic approach, which integrates targeted lifestyle interventions such as personalized nutrition, physical activity, sleep optimization, and emotional well-being with conventional evidence-based medicine. She's deeply committed to helping her patients both prevent and manage chronic diseases of lifestyle and aging, such as cardiovascular, cardiometabolic, musculoskeletal, and neurodegenerative conditions. By combining rigorous medical expertise with attention to the whole person, Dr. Bakker empowers patients to take charge of both their lifespan and health span. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure here. Thank you for everything. And I love the introduction as well.
I
This is
love the
exactly,
introduction.
I loved it because this is exactly what my practice, I'm all about. And we'll take it from here. We'll talk more about this today.
Yeah, I'm excited because I'm a dietitian by practice, and then I
Yes.
developed an entire wellness platform because I recognized, and I speak about this with other practitioners, that, you come out of medical school or being a dietitian, and I'm just telling people what to eat, and I'm like, why are people doing it? Or what are these symptoms popping up? Or wait a second, all these little things over my 15 years that I'm like, wait, there's a lot more to this. So
There's more to it. Yeah.
when I see a doctor, like an MD, recognize that and get really excited
Yes. Yes.
because you have
Yes.
so many tools at your disposal and knowledge.
Yes.
And
Yes.
your entire bio excited me because
Yes.
you seem to lead with a holistic approach, or at least look at it. And of course, we're going to also talk about later sleep,
Of
because I
course.
don't have
Yeah.
enough people on here talking about sleep. But
Yeah. Sure.
I'd love to understand that better, of what got you into this more holistic approach through medical. Like, what did you see that was your aha moment of,
Yeah.
wow?
Yeah. So, I don't think there was any one aha moment. I think, like everybody, it was a series of events. Honestly, right from my upbringing, it was a series of events, exposures, realizations. So I grew up in a household where there was always a focus on vegetables. My dad has a kitchen garden. I'm originally from Pakistan, so he used to grow broccoli and parsley at a time when they were not available in the mainstream market. So I grew, even though it's not like we're plant-based or vegan or anything like that, we're an omnivorous household, but I grew with the love of vegetables instilled in me on every dining table. So that was that. But it was truly something that I saw when, it was really when I moved to the US for my residency. That's really when my impressions began to just culminate, because I used to see all these people in my residency, in my training, so severely sick. And I understand that in a hospital environment, I get it. You don't have the opportunity, the time. It's not the time to talk about diet, exercise, sleep, and everything. It is the time to do all the things we do in a hospital setting. But I just felt that this whole piece was entirely missing. Like, even in my primary care exposure, now because of COVID, my primary care exposure was not as much as it would have been otherwise, because I spent my last year inpatient as well. But the I just realized that, there's, like, we eat every single day, we're moving every single day, there's so many things, there has to be a missing piece. And am I the only one who thinks we should be talking about these things? Because we're completely eliminating this from the conversation. So I started doing little things, like, when we would have, like, residency potlucks, etc., I would bring, like, raw veggies. Literally, I would bring a
Right,
board of,
salad.
like, let's do baby carrots with hummus. And I'm not going to bring in bagels, I'm not going to bring in cupcakes. I used to be the only one with, like, cauliflower and all those things. So And with time, my impression has also matured myself,
Mm-hmm.
because I've come to realize that diet is very important, exercise is very important, sleep is very important, mental and emotional health is very important. If we can tweak just a little bit of these things, we can see profound changes, and we can actually save so many people from starting unnecessary medications and being on things that they don't necessarily need to be, or get procedures done that they can evade. But at the same time, as my perspective has matured, I've also come to realize that all of these things have a limitation as well. I am a medical doctor who believes in evidence based medicine. There's evidence that lifestyle modification can improve things so much, but then there's evidence that there is a time and place for medications, procedures, for the interventions we do, and all the things that are taught to us in our training. So um, so i i think my perspective now is that I bring the best of those two worlds, where I see the value here, I also see the value here. So I am able to guide my patients about, this is a time for you to double down on your diet and your exercise. But hey, this is a time when exercise and diet may not be enough. And even though we're going to do that, we are also going to talk about medications. It's just fundamental to me, right? Like, these are fundamental pillars of health. How can you talk about disease management or prevention without talking about these things, and
Right.
then slowly implementing them in my own life?
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, I never went through I've never had any major disease, or I've been very blessed that way. I've never had any problems with weight or anything like that, so it's not like I struggled with anything, and I don't have a sobbing story of how I came out um, from that. But it's like, what I'm saying is, I still went through rigorous training in my residency. I still went through extremely tough attending years as a hospitalist. I have gone through burnout. I have gone through times where I've
Mm-hmm.
lost weight because I wasn't taking care of myself. I've gone through erratic sleep cycles for a whole stretch of like 4 to 7 years. And even though, thankfully, I went through the COVID epidemic. I was in New York. I was the frontline healthcare worker. I went through all, so I have gone through a series of very stressful events. And a time came when I realized that, okay, I need to be very proactive about taking care of myself. Thankfully, I haven't suffered anything major, but if I don't proactively take care of myself, this is not going to be sustainable. And if I want to take care of my patients and give them my best, I have to give myself my best as well. I deserve the care I want to provide to my patients as
Right.
well. And this is the type of mindset that I encourage my patients to instill in them as well. You take care of so many moms, right?
Mm-hmm.
Moms cannot fill their cups of their kids if they're not filling their own cups. Yes,
Right.
it's easier said than done, but you talk about this all the time. I've seen your content. You cannot do this. So I think fundamentally, before talking about diet, exercise, this realization
Mm-hmm.
that I deserve to proactively take care of myself, and it's not selfish. I shouldn't be guilty about it. It's because when my cup is filled, only then can I overflow and fill other people's
Yeah,
cups.
it's because it has
Um,
to be such an intense commitment to yourself and passion. Like, you have to
Intense
feel it
commitment. Agreed.
so strong,
It
because
has to be. Agreed.
otherwise it has to be
No,
like
no,
non-negotiable. And I am very much
absolutely.
into language, even how my clients in my nutrition practice speak to themselves. I actually correct language all the time. I think the way we speak to ourselves or
Agreed.
is very
100%.
important. So even when people are
100%.
coming from diet mentality and saying, I cheated, restricted. No, I was like, by the way,
No.
you're binging because you keep talking like that. So let's stop that, right? But even when it comes to this client recently, we're trying to get an exercise. I tell people to work in exercise, not because quote unquote you need it to lose weight, but you need it in life, and you need it to maintain, and you need it in everything else. So you might as well work on it when you're most motivated. And when you're
Absolutely.
most motivated is when people first walk in and say, okay, I really want to do this. Okay, so then throw everything at the kitchen sink, get your sleep in order, because you
Exactly.
know what, when you start to like fizzle out, because that's natural, you're not going to then do something that was hard for you to always do.
To
So
begin with. Yeah.
this woman was saying, okay, and we're a few weeks in now. I said, okay, now we're going to incorporate the exercise, like every week we were talking about it, but I said, now you got to do it. You just have to do it,
Absolutely.
and she was
Absolutely.
like, yeah, I know, I maybe need to do it. I'm going to try to I said, no, you need to say, I'm going
to do it.
Beth, I correct my patients with this. They say try so many times, and it makes me realize maybe I've said this in the past too, because we learn from each other subconsciously, right? I said, no, don't say try. Just say I'm going to do it. And I'm not asking you to go start with like a 60-minute intense workout in the
Right,
gym.
exactly.
Can you start with 5 minutes at home of something that's maybe body weight, right? But just say I'm going to do it. Don't say I'm going to try. Because when we say try, that commitment needed to take care of yourself, it's not there. And then try, most often, maybe you'll try 2-3 times. You're not going to keep trying for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
To actually do it for the rest of your life, you have to say, no, I'm going to do it. No matter whatever I can manage, I'll do it.
Yeah, I think you hit on another great point with that. You're right. I think the reason why people say they try is because in their mind, the definition of what they're supposed to do, quote unquote, is too overwhelming.
Yeah.
When you said this as you started speaking, it has to be just a touch of
Just a touch.
something in all these
Agreed.
areas. And I would just add
Agreed.
consistently. It has to be
Agreed.
a touch consistently.
A touch.
So I show, you said you saw my Instagram, so everyone here knows, but mine's at Nourished by Beth. And I have a lot going on in my life. So my level of intensity that I need is very high. So I love to be athletic. So yes, I share my boxing and I share my hot yoga and I share my whatever, but I'm always clear to tell people, you do not need to be me. You need to just walk 30 minutes a day, whatever it is. And even that, it's whatever you can commit to, because the commitment of consistency is more important.
Is way more than perfection. Absolutely.
My most healthiest clients that came to me the first time. I love speaking to seniors who come to me because they might have a blip in something new. Oh, my blood sugar is high and they're in their 70s, and they're very afraid because they lived such a healthy lifestyle that this is so foreign to them. And I'm saying it with a smile because I think it's cute. I'm like, you made it to the 70s with nothing, and now their blood pressure is high, whatever the situation. And I ask them, I turn the table, I say, how did you stay so healthy for 70 years? And you know what they all consistently say? They say, I walk every day.
Exactly.
Rain or shine.
Exactly.
They're still walking. This one man, 3 miles, no matter what. I had to give him electrolyte water because he was walking in such extreme heats in the summer, because that's how committed he is. We fixed something else that was going on, but they're all just walk.
Exactly. Just do something, right? And then I am all about optimization, right? So yes, we will talk about, okay, what else can I do, and like how else can I taper, how else can I tweak this, and how else can I improve on it. We will talk about that. I keep doing that for my own self as well. We'll talk about that. There'll be a time that comes for it. But don't let that mountain of like perfection and how it should look like and what the studies show. Yes, they're right. And I'm actually very clear to my patients that I if you keep following me, I will push you to move more. I will push you to lift weights. I will push you to do all those things. But that's for future. Forget about it right now. Today, as of today, give me one thing you're going to commit to for the next 2 weeks. And then maybe let's have a video visit or something. And let me know how that went. That's it. Just one layer at a time. Because if so many things are not working, I also feel that people, when they say, oh, if I can't do 100, then I'm just going to do 0.
Yeah.
No, if you can't do 100, can you do 5? Can you do 10?
Yeah.
And the answer is yes. And it's effective. And the answer is yes, it will improve things. And you keep going there. And then you decide if you want to move forward. And for many people, actually, that's how it started with me. Like, I lift weights now. But up until 5 years ago, maybe, I wasn't moving more than walking, maybe some occasional yoga classes. But I started with a commitment of bodyweight Pilates at home in this apartment on a mat. I said, you know what, let me just try something, because I did want to be regular with it. Like, that's how I developed my own new habit at the age of 30, right? I want to be more regular, but then let's see what's in my reach.
So I'm actually curious, because I see your lifestyle. You try to practice what you preach. I find that with most like holistic approaches, and I actually say I'm the same way as a dietitian. I'm evidence-based practitioner.
I see you, and that was partly why I was very excited to talk to you, because I see that your content resonates with my style as well.
Exactly.
Like, I am such a fan of dietitians, and Like the kind of food you make, I'm like, exactly, guys, learn from this. This is how a plate should look like.
Yeah, no, I
Learn
appreciate
from
that.
that.
But then at the same time, over the years, it evolved to being, like I said, more wellness oriented, more about
Yeah,
like breath work and
yeah,
and
everything.
sound baths and all this stuff, because everything affects everything. And for me, food and weight, it was the missing link I saw of why people weren't able to lose and keep it off and all this stuff. So I love that about your approach. At the same time, I'm curious what that translates to inside your practice. Like, what do people come to you with? And then how does it evolve from there to you to figure out all the areas that they need to be working on?
Yeah. Um, I think the number one reason people come to me with is I have a relatively new practice. We started just in April. So people are coming to me to establish new care. Many people are coming for their annual physicals. Those are actually more than problems. People want like annual physicals. And however, when I ask them, hey, for annual physical, I have my own set of questions and we'll go through them and maybe something will come up. But then is there something, anything specific on your mind that you absolutely want us to discuss? And we'll talk about that first because that's going to be part of it. And then we'll, take over my questions. So things are really like, I think one of the, like people come in with issues like people are not sleeping. So, I mean, you said you want to talk about sleep.
I know.
the
Yeah.
Our folks are not sleeping. So sleep is an issue. Fatigue is a big thing that people come to me with. GI disturbances they come to me with. They talk about either many women are coming to me with trying everything but not being able to lose weight. So I just want to make sure medically everything is right. Is there anything more I need to do? Of course, I do weight management. So people are coming to me with potential discussions around GLP-1 medications if they are eligible for that. Then people are coming to me with high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer screenings, family history of maybe Alzheimer's dementia at a young age, and
Oh,
someone
wow.
just wants to be proactive about that. And or family history, or someone's coming in with, hey, I'm on a plant-based diet, and can you please just make sure that my B12 is normal and all those things. People are coming in with symptoms of diabetes. So it's a whole range of metabolic disorders, cardiovascular disorders. I manage heart disease. I manage patients who've had strokes in the past. I manage diabetes. I manage high blood pressure. High cholesterol is a big thing. With background of cardiovascular disease, I manage weight. I manage things like fatigue. Fatigue is like such a broad thing.
Yeah.
I manage insomnia.
So then
I
how does that translate into like your protocols? Like, where do you go from there?
Yeah. So for the first visit is about getting to know them, and then distilling it down into one or two things that we can potentially do to improve things further. So I get to know them thoroughly, and thoroughly, it's like I wish I had more time, but this is just what the current system allows me. But within the 30-35 minutes that I get with them, I ask them about their medical history, their surgical history, their entire family history. And I dig deep in family history as well. Like, what was the age of diagnosis? When did that person die? What medications are you on? And when you ask about medications, people don't often talk about supplements. Okay, what over-the-counter supplements are you taking? Now tell me about your diet. Tell me about your exercise levels. Tell me about your sleep. I ask them about that. Tell me about your bowel habits. Tell me about how your stool looks like. That's a reflection of your health. I need to know. Tell me about your alcohol intake. Do you smoke or consume any recreational drugs, any tobacco, any marijuana, anything else? What's your partnership? I talk about libido. I talk about sexual dysfunction, because I noticed that if I don't prompt people to ask about these things, I think sleep, bowel habits, and sexual dysfunction, these are things that people just, unless it's like very off, people just accept
Right.
that as the norm in life, that it'll
Mm-hmm.
just be mediocre and that's just how I'm going to live all my life.
Yeah. Or
So
this is how I've
what's the
always been.
what's the point in bringing it up? And like, people who've been together for 25 years, I get to hear from women, oh, but we've been married for 25 years. Like, what's the point of talking about sex now? I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Like, just because you're married for 25 years, like, let's talk about your libido. Let's talk about vaginal dryness. Let's talk about for men, I talk about erectile dysfunction. I talk about, so all these, really private things that we try to shut off in the bedroom or in the restroom, these are reflections of our overall health. So
Yeah.
yes, if your blood pressure is high, and if it's very high, as of today, I will start you on a blood pressure medication. So in that scenario, all of these things, they matter, but as of today, that's where my clarity lies. As of today, you need this blood pressure
Right.
medication, but let's talk about everything else, because maybe, just maybe, it's possible that I'm able to help you with all these things over the next 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, and maybe we can get you off of this blood pressure medication. And let's aim for that and see if this is something that lifestyle cannot fix. No problem. There's no problem in being on these extremely effective, extremely safe medications. But many of these conditions are lifestyle driven. So
Yeah.
let's see if, yes, for as of today, your anxiety, your insomnia needs a medication because it's literally disrupting your life.
Right. It's
And if I ask
danger
you to
zone.
fix your sleep, it's not going to happen in 1 week. So I need to give you this medication to have you sleep so you can function tomorrow, right?
Right.
So that's where the role of medication surgery comes in. But let's work together. And I tell them, because people think, often people think, oh, these are annual visits. I say, yes, these are annual visits. But if we are identifying problems, I'm not going to ask you to come see me next year. No,
Right.
come see
I
me
was actually going to
again.
ask that. So there's probably follow-ups with
Of
you.
course, yeah, because like if I'm identifying 10 problems to fix, I'm not gonna say, hey, cool, let's meet next year and then we'll talk about how all those 10 problems are.
Right.
No, let's work together over the next 1 year so that your
Wow.
next physical is better, and layer by layer, one step at a time. Maybe today we won't touch diet, then let's just fix your sleep, because when I get to know them from head to toe, then I'm like, okay, you know what? Yes, your diet needs to be better, but your sleep is the biggest issue right now. We have to help you fix this. So let's dig into your sleep. When do you go to bed? How much time does it take for you to go to sleep? When do you get up? When's your caffeine? What's your
Yeah.
alcohol? What's your exercise level? And how's your sleep history? Because we have to figure that out. So it's very personalized. This is what I call, like, this is what my holistic personalized care is. It's obviously very personalized. Every room will have a different way of conducting this, because and that this is where my presence, my listening skills matter, my empathy matters, because I get to have them open up in front of me about the deepest, darkest secrets, which I'm so
Right.
honored that they
Mhm.
find that space to be able to talk about those things. And then we list, okay, these are the problems. This is the ones that we're going to immediately address. But then these are the underlying potential root issues that we have to fix one by one. We're not going to fix everything in one visit, not even 2 or 3 visits. These things have been happening for years.
Yeah.
So same with weight. If you are coming in with difficulty losing weight, you cannot, if you've gained weight over the last 5 years, 10 years, you can give up if 2 months of doing this is not moving the scale.
Yeah.
You cannot give up.
And it's the same with what you're saying. And that's what I wanted to get back to the sleep. Like, I can't help you with weight unless we're helping your sleep.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
and that's what I wanted
Exactly.
to understand from a research perspective, and why you believe sleep is so important.
Oh my goodness. So historically, we have always believed that sleep duration is what matters. And that's what, and to be honest, that was me as well. I'm a physician. Historically, even I was under the impression that, oh, if we were supposed to sleep a certain number of hours, most people need like 7 to 9 hours or so. And when I ask my patients about their sleep, that's typically their answer. Oh, I think I get 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours. Now we know that duration is not enough. It's your sleep regularity that may be even more important, if I have to say, because it does not matter how many hours you're sleeping if you don't have a consistent sleep wake cycle every single day. And hey, when I say every single day, I don't mean perfection, 100% robot, and you're going to sleep on time and wake up on time every single day. No, weddings will happen. People will have kids. Mothers will have their seasons. People will have night duties. Like, I'm a physician, I've had night shifts. Seasons will come. We're talking about the general idea that over a span of 1 year, 80% of the time, are you consistently going to bed at the same time? Are you consistently waking up at the same time?
Right.
And also, when it comes to going to bed and waking up, We know that because of our circadian rhythm, our body's functions, our physiology, our hormones, our systems inside are very finely tuned with the light and dark cycle. People are sleeping too late. That's
Yeah.
another thing. People are sleeping too late. Anyone who is up between roughly 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., this is where the danger zone is identified.
10
10
p.m.
p.m.
everyone.
10 p.m. to 4 a.m. If you are up during this duration for the majority of your life, right, it has a consistent correlation with development of cardiovascular disease. We're talking heart attacks, strokes, heart failure. There is a connection with cancer. There's a connection with metabolic dysfunction. This is where sugar regulation, people are worried about glucose spikes. Guess what spikes your glucose up? If you're not sleeping appropriately.
Right.
So it doesn't matter. What I'm also trying to put out is it doesn't matter if, oh, I'm still able to sleep 7 hours every day. No, it has to be a consistent sleep wake time as well.
Yeah.
Also, how long does it take for you to fall asleep? People should be able to sleep within 15, maybe max 30 minutes of being in bed, preparing for sleep. And taking, and I often, there's a whole concept of like revenge procrastination in the evening, right? Where nothing went my way the whole day. So I'm going to use this time to at least be myself. I've heard this from my patients,
so many people
right?
that, yeah.
Especially like dads and moms, hey, that's my time after the kids go to bed. I said, I understand. I get it. I'm not saying I'm not saying this is not justified. What I'm saying is your sleep is also your time. It's not for anybody else.
Self-care.
Think of sleep as self-care, exactly. And maybe try to see if the kids go to bed and you have, let's say, an hour and a half for yourself. Can you maybe take 1 hour for yourself and 30 minutes at the end start preparing for your sleep? Because if you don't sleep, you work with women who want to lose weight loss is not going to happen. Things that all the hard work in the gym, the recovery happens when you're sleeping.
Right.
So if you're not given that, if you're not giving that gift to your body, which your body needs, it's not going to move. It has a direct correlation with people's moods. It has a direct correlation with depression, anxiety, even metabolic disorders I've mentioned. So sleep, I feel, is we still talk about diet and exercise.
I know.
It's very under acknowledged, very underestimated pillar of health, where sleep is your immunity. People ask about, hey, to boost my immunity, vitamin C supplements. I'm like, we can talk about vitamin C supplements.
Right.
Talk to me about your sleep first, because vitamin C is a supplement, right? Supplement means it has to be supplemented on top of the main pillars that we have to work on fixing first. We can talk about eating oranges and strawberries and vitamin C pills or whatever, but for immunity building, what's your sleep pattern like?
Yeah.
So I really dig into those things.
I always address the sleep with people, and I say it starts in your sleep, and some people aren't ready to hear it, or some people, like we're saying, underestimate the importance. It's like, okay, I say, okay, we're gonna have to get there though. And some people who are more extreme, I literally tell them it's not gonna work. Like if they literally have insomnia and are not sleeping.
100%.
Yeah.
And this is where
what can they do to help? What can they do to help themselves with the sleep?
So first is the basic sleep hygiene stuff, right? Those are the basic things, and then there are some more advanced ways of taking care of this, for which I'm not a specialist, but then I refer them to the right specialist.
Mm-hmm.
So the basic sleep hygiene things are essentially, I tell my patients, we have this alarm to get up. How about mentally or maybe even physically? How about we put an alarm to go to bed? That in our mind, we have this shift that this is now time for me to sleep. And if you are planning to go to bed at 10:30, you can't just shut the phone and shut the laptop and just go to bed. You do have to prepare for it a little bit. The body needs some time to calm down, relax, get into the zone of the idea that it's time to go to bed. So preparing for sleep in advance, I think, is a big thing. Shut your phone. Let's say if you're planning to go to bed at 10, then 9:30, 9:15, the process has to start. Start dimming the lights, start shutting your phone, start shutting your screens, soft music, soft fragrance, anything that relaxes you, whatever you figure out, whatever way. Some people like to meditate. Some people like to take a bath. Some people like to get into some cozy clothing. Some people like to raise their legs on the bedboard to relax themselves. Whatever rocks your boat. I don't know, cuddle with your partner. Like that's your
Yeah.
time to cuddle with your kids or whatever. Prepare for the idea that we're done with whatever we needed to do at home during the day, sorry. And there is more to do. Like that's what moms are always worried about, right? There's so many things to do. Yes, there are things to do, but then those things to do are not going to end. Those are
Right.
endless.
It's never ends.
So we have to make the choice of drawing that line where, okay, that's it. I know I have a lot to do. It'll be taken care of tomorrow. Have I at least taken care of the most important things? If that's done, then that's it. Oof. Let's draw a line. Let's prepare for sleep because this is something that's just fundamental. So preparation of sleep, calming music, whatever helps you relax, you figure that out. For most people, these things work. Then potentially, for some people, if they have the issue is often a racing mind. Because they are anxious throughout the day or maybe a very stressful work day for whatever reason. They're oftentimes the words that I hear are, my mind doesn't shut down, so my mind's like always up. And don't get me wrong, I've had those days as well, and I've had those moments too. So I know what racing mind means, and I have had days when I was not able to sleep when I wanted to sleep exactly. So that's a very human thing. But for that, I encourage people to be more mindful of how things are going throughout the day as well, because your sleep is a reflection of what's happening throughout the day. Are you carrying the emotional load of what happened on the subway or what happened on the road or what happened with this kid? Or if I'm a physician, my emotional load is moving from patient to patient, room to room, one sad story after another that's piercing my heart. When I used to work in the hospital, right, that's the emotional load I carried from door to door, patient to patient. That's the load I brought home, and then that's the load I took to my bed. So then that load has to be worked through. I don't think we can just solve this by 1 10-minute meditation in the morning and 1 10-minute meditation in the evening. You have to learn the art of meditation and practice that meditation throughout. Maybe, for example,
before you enter the room,
you enter the room. Like, for example, my practice often is like, I'm not saying I'm perfect at it, but roughly every hour or so, I take like a 30-second, 45-second check-in and be like, okay, what just happened? How am I feeling right now? What's my purpose here? And what am I planning to do next? So like a level of consciousness throughout, where I also describe it as like, I drill holes in my body so that if there's an intense emotional load, I want to be sensitive to what's going on. I don't want to be an insensitive person, but I am also trying to have that balance where I have the sensitivity and the empathy, but I'm not absorbing that load as mine to carry forever and ever and ever, right? So then I get that, but then I let it flow. Then I move to the next room, and whatever works for you. Then we have cognitive behavioral therapy, or maybe general therapy. There's so many options to help people, but that if people are struggling with depression, anxiety, then of course therapy is where general sleep can be managed through that. But then we have specifically for these types of cases, we have what is called cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. It's called CBTI. The issue is it may not be as accessible. It's also often not covered by insurance. So those things are definitely limiting factors. But we have evidence that CBTI right now is gold standard for most forms of insomnia. Unless we're talking about medical causes. That's where I refer my patients to a medical sleep specialist, because if I'm anticipating there's a sleep disorder or circadian disorder, sleep apnea, and sleep apnea doesn't even have to be somebody who's obese. People who are regular normal weight can also have underlying sleep apnea. Maybe their partner noticed something if they're getting up with more. Like, it's a whole way for me to figure out if I feel this is more psychological, is this more medical. Does this person need to see a medical sleep specialist? Does this person need a sleep study? Does this person need this? Does this person need that? So it's a whole way of for me to figure out, really reveal every layer of the onion to figure out how we can get you to sleep.
Yeah, because it seems like there's all different reasons why people can't sleep, and some are medically inclined, some are emotional.
I also think alcohol is a big thing, and that's another extremely under acknowledged, like because it's such a big part of culture. it's very easy for us to accept that the number of drinks we're having over a week, for example, is like fine because it's social and it's normal. And I understand it's fun. It's actually, it's not even fun. It's like for many people, it's part of their culture. Many people drink with their families every day, for example. I get all of that part, but we also have ample data now to show how even one drink, two drinks, three drinks impact our sleep. They impact our heart rate variability. People are not able to complete their entire duration of sleep and they wake up in the middle of the night, for example. That's often also because people. And the thing is, when you drink, you feel like it's helping your sleep. A lot of my patients drink wine because it helps them sleep, or so they think. It's actually making it worse because then they get up at 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. So I ask about alcohol for that reason. Okay, how many drinks are we talking? Exactly what are we talking? So that's and it's not just sleep. For alcohol, I remind people, remember, yes, it's part of our culture, but I'm not sure if, I don't know, the healthy guidelines right now are for women less than 7 drinks a week, for men, healthy men, less than 14 drinks a week.
But those guidelines don't factor in how it might be affecting each individual situation.
But personally, I don't think
like you won't die if you have that, maybe if you make good choices, but there could be affecting other things. But I want to thank you so much for coming on, because I think what people really need to take away from this is that they need to see you as a doctor, because you can flag a lot of things that they can work on.
That's what happens.
But you can also treat something in an acute way, like we need to get you out of this danger zone, but here's what we can do.
So it's a mix of both, of
you
triaging, right? Like what needs to be figured out and handled in this moment. And for that, I can't fix your sleep today. You will need this medication and this will save your life, right? So it's that understanding that yes, you need this, but then let's work on the other layers of lifestyle, because for many people, just tweaking a few of these layers, see how things change in 6 months, 1 year. So yeah, that's how I go with them, and we continue to follow up, and we see through progress, obstacles,
it's
everything.
Not just come see me and leave. I love the relationship you build, and that you're really out there to help them, like never need anything acute. Okay, so how can people follow up with you, and what's your Instagram handle?
Yeah, fantastic. So my primary social media presence is on Instagram. I am, the handle is Dr. Maryam Bakker, my name. So it's DrMaryam, just one word. That's my handle. That's where my primary social media presence is. And I'm fairly active there pretty much, every other day. But my clinic right now, I am affiliated with Northwell Health. We're in Brooklyn Heights. It's a wonderful neighborhood. And they can find me on ZocDoc, Maryam Bakker MD. That's where they can book their appointments. And
I'm so excited to hear in Brooklyn,
if you wish to see me, exactly.
Yeah, my main practice is there, and I'm gonna come meet you in person.
I read about that too. I was like,
we're gonna go to some healthy lunch in the area.
Let's go. No, of course, exactly. And that's why I was also very excited to see you, because I was like, hey, there's so many common themes here. First of all, I love dietitians, because I tell people dietitians are doing God's work. Because this is the kind of thing that we're not teaching kids how to eat in school.
Right.
So it's the dietitians who are doing that.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's awesome.
So, but then, and then you're on the East Coast as well.
I know. We're going to meet for sure. All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Don't forget to hit subscribe or follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Nourished by Beth, or listen on Spotify at the Secrets to Mindful Health podcast.